Copyright 2017 Win Your Brand. All rights reserved. This video is subject to copyright owned by Win Your Brand. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this video is expressly prohibited, unless Win Your Brand has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.
We always talk here about sales and business and how we can push our business forward. So I want to start from your questions, because your questions are amazing, okay? So I developed a model about why people buy and how you can approach them to buy. So we start with people who pay us money, and if somebody is buying my product, I can upsell them, and I can ask them for referral, and I can retire them by being a former customer. That's right. It's very straightforward, you know.
Right.
You come to the shop, you didn't come back to Costco, they can call you back and say, why didn't come back to Costco for this, that's right? However, for the work we do, we always like people to be clients first, means testing the system for no cost. Before that, they can be prospects, they can be lead, they can be audience, and they can be target audience, and they can be general. And this 10 contact point, what I believe is the easiest way for somebody to start. The question to you is, when people here in this chain of command, because the chain will be like this, and then what could happen is these different groups can come back as different, these people can come back as different cycles. So a customer for a product can be a lead for another product. Like there are some, however, the question is, when people will identify themselves here that they need your service, at which stage?
Almost at the prospect.
Shamir, at which stage people will identify that they have a problem they need to solve?
Well, I think it's a broad question, but I think you can identify it at any stage, really, because when you're on stage and you're sharing with them some of the pain points, they may relate to that and say, now I know I have a problem. So
and if they know they have a problem, they will do what?
They will go to they'll buy.
Direct go to
They
Or
buy.
go to the client or buy.
Or buy, so they go to this area.
Yeah.
So the point I want to say is,
They identify it probably in the first four, the GAA.
so here people will know they have a problem.
Yeah.
If I know I have a problem, what I would do?
You go to doctor.
I will look for solutions, right?
Yeah.
So I want to say it in this way. We go, when we have headache, we take Tylenol because we don't know we have a much bigger problem. When we'll go to doctor for diagnosing? Once the Tylenol will not work. And somebody can take Tylenol or Advil for a year because they have this headache and they never knew it's a tumor or something serious. So when we know, so people here, they will know the problem. So when people go approach Samir or Mariana or approach Mike, they have to approach them without knowing there is a problem.
Mike is different. They know they got
No.
a problem.
Mike is not, it's not the difference. Mike is the same. Mike, the value of what Mike is doing is he has this lifetime experience where he will apply different metrics to demonstrate where you can save more of the taxes. So if you stand and you have Mike business, I'm actually helping 4 similar business like Mike. Each one has a unique. One is doing only trucking. She cannot do anything else. So each one of them one is doing only technology. So if you look at their business, the people have to approach before they know the problem. So he's not different. It's just, accounting and bookkeeping. So you may relate to what he's doing, but you don't know how effectively he's doing it, right?
He does effectively, otherwise the customer will not return. They can't see the change, even the first touch that they get with you.
I wouldn't disagree, but I would disagree with the concept. The customer, you can do bad job, and you have flow of customer, and you can make millions of dollars.
I have at least 2 clients. I do business coaching as well. I have at least 2 clients whose bookkeepers suck, and they've made mistakes, CRA related mistakes. They've had to pay some money, and it's only after months of me saying you need to transition to a different accountant that one of them did, the other one isn't. So they will keep coming because accounting is this nebulous area that they don't want to touch, and they don't know how good or bad it is because that's not their forte and expertise.
And if you understand why people buy based on triggers, and the triggers we share it here all the time. The triggers are relationship triggers or process information triggers, which is you, or time triggers, or value dollar triggers. And value dollars does not mean they are cheap or greedy. Value dollars, they need to be faced with credibility. And there is a reason for me to draw it in these 4 colors, which you will not be aware of it now, but the other people are in the room will be aware of. So if my wife is doing the bookkeeping, no matter how suck she is, nobody will care. I will not change her. If I'm doing the bookkeeping, no matter what mistakes I would do, I will say I learned today and I will do it better next time. So people can buy for relationship, establish a relationship with somebody that they wouldn't change.
Yes.
Finally, we got this guy. Yes, guys. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So the point I want to make it clear is the role of this section here is to grab the customer before becoming a customer and teach them how to make a decision that they need a solution for the problem. So the event I met you, so how did you go to the Egyptology?
Oh, I have a friend, Mustafa. He's
Okay.
coaching me.
Yep.
I said, just come. I said, come on, man. This subject is something that I do. I said, just come. You like it. I usually like the new topics and
Yeah.
to learn about the new topics, to see what's going on there, and to learn about it. I enjoy learning, and I learned a lot.
That's good.
I mean, it was something that I learned.
Yeah.
I mean, it was effective.
Yep.
So that's why I ended up. And I was there every day on time.
So
I know that you had some.
we had a
something
workshop
on
here.
Saturday.
We had a workshop here.
You had an engagement. on Saturday.
Yeah, we had a workshop here. Actually.
But-
So the point is, if you want to educate people in this area, so this will be education.
Right.
You have to educate them how to explore and discover their issues. And if I teach them how to explore and discover their issues, and I identify the issue, I can sell them the solution. So somebody's paying too much money for a project management because they transportation is too much money they spend. You can send them and say, if you have a warehouse on site, you will cut your costs, right? But they don't know, because if I know the problem, I will solve it. If I know the problem, I will find a solution for it.
Right.
So if you assume that the customer, that the prospects or the leads understand the problem, it's too late.
They don't. Usually they don't. When they are in it, they don't say it.
Yep.
That's the issue.
This is the issue. So the question will be is how you can teach them and where you can teach them this information. So one of the common places are books. And books will include e-books, v-books, whatever books. Some of the information are books. Some of the information can be discovered in articles. And articles includes what? Blogs, columns, opinions, whatever. That's right. Some of the places it will be radio, and radio will include also podcast, and some of the information will include TV, and TV will include YouTube, will include what else?
Webinars, is it?
The other one will be seminars and webinars. So it can be seminars, and seminars can be also a coin for webinars. It can be workshops. It can be drama, like movie, or it can be activity. It can be activity. So any of these are legitimate approaches to teach people about
Discover their what? How to explain discover their
how to
Issues.
explore,
Sure.
discover their issues.
oh, it's issues?
Issues. So the role here is explore and discover issues. The role here, what?
I got Jesus out of that.
Discover their Jesus.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's, you're right. Okay, continue.
If you remember, this is always you've seen it. You'll stick in your mind. You will learn it. That's it. I'm done. You know, like if you will understand this and you remember this is Jesus or issues doesn't matter. You'll always remember this. When I meet somebody I never did business with, I must not talk about what I do. I must talk about what kind of problems I solve it for people. And when I come say I have this problem, like Shamir is a master. He said, I solve issues for people with stress. So now you have a keyword. So if you feel stressed, what you will do?
You go to Shami.
You will connect with him to know more.
Yeah.
That's right. So what he did is he said, like type of pain problems I'm solving, and what the benefits he bring to the table. And he was not doing it aggressively because he has a different version which is more aggressive when he talks about achieving goals and money and stuff. But he was just giving it very simple. Like people with stress to have more clarity and to be able to follow their guts and take away the stress from their life. So this is the kind of words he used, and these words are related to people in relation. And I believe he sensed you are a process-oriented guy. So he talks to you about he has systems. So if somebody will talk to you, they have to talk about there's a system, there's a methodology, there's a routine, there's a practice, there's something process-oriented.
Most engineers are process.
Yeah, yeah. You want it or you don't want it. Your mind.
Yeah, but
Not this way.
Yeah,
however,
absolutely.
Mariana is a change. Mariana have been transformed to be more relationship, or she understand more, because she told you, I love what the farmer do. I love to have a relationship with the farmers. I was supporting the farmers. What will trigger her, not a process. What will trigger her is a relation. So if you want to have a meaningful communication with her, you have to talk more about the relationship impact, not the process. Which is the message I go to all engineers, because we never trained as a salesman before, and come and say, these are not mutual exclusive language. This is languages to be used with the proper people. So if I want to describe a program, I can tell you I have a methodology, a system step-by-step program to make people happy and have a nice relationship, to empower you to have money and be credible in your life, or be fan and admire what did you do in life, and you can see the results right away. I cannot say this is the fourth segment to anyone and everyone. I have to know who I'm talking about. So if I have Mariana in my life, I say, it's not because she has green dress and this green, okay? Don't get me wrong. It's because she has a higher component of relationship appreciation. She appreciates relationship. So for her might be very confusing if you talk about systems and process. Michaela, when she used to come here, she's a highly sensitive individual, which is a class of of people who are very emotionally engaged. If you talk, when Mike standed here and gave her 4 questions, she felt overwhelmed, like he was doing a presentation. And Mike is a process. You know from what he said, all of what he do is process information. So in process information, you want to interrogate you. Sorry, you want to question you to know what's your need, so they can provide you with the most effective tool. If you question a highly sensitive lady, she will feel interrogated. She will feel a barrier. You are creating a dam in communication, so you have to cross this high dam now to be able to get to her. So these triggers are something to watch. And this is science. This is not art or logic. The art of it is how to figure out languages which is triggered with this particular quadrant. So when you go back to your wife, you have to talk about the relationship. She will feel sick of you when you talk to her about what happened in work as process. That's right.
That's right. I mean,
because
that's
we
not
know
really tough. When you talk to the people, you can't find it after 5 minutes which one of these are.
And 5 minutes is too long, because it takes people 90 seconds to kick you out of their life. It takes 3 seconds for me to have a starting point. And I'm always right, because always means what always means. Means 80% of the time I'm right. So when we say everybody always all, we don't mean 100%. We mean 80%, 90%, majority. So these techniques, if you applied, you will be able to go in a room and you will guess which one is what. So Mike is a typical process. He has his Tim Hortons, the quick bottled drinks to be effective, efficient in front of his hand. Shamir and Mariana are typical relationship. Each one of them bring a multi-use container, with majority of the time it will be their hot herbal tea or their green shake or something which we've never heard about it. And when they open it, it will smell in the room. Smells sometimes very first time ever to smell it.
Coffee with MCT oil.
You see, like okay. So what his relationship here is, he loves.
That's real? What you said?
Yeah. Because he is looking for what? He's looking for a relationship with his body. Because a relationship is not a relationship with you. It started with your soul, with your heart, with your body. Then the relationship will be with your loved ones, with your tribes. Then it can be with the customer. So if you provide a sales training, or you provide tools to somebody providing a relationship, you need to tell her, we will provide you a customer support tool which will engage all the time your customers. If you tell her it has a process to engage your customer, she will feel overwhelmed, because she'll say, another process for me to follow, I'm tired of that. Okay? Make sense to you?
Yeah, I got you.
And I believe it makes sense to everybody.
You're talking your own language, actually.
You have to play. You remember they told you, put yourself in their shoes. And when I go to their shoes, they don't fit my size. It's not the problem with the size of the shoes. They never told us that we have to understand what quadrants are we talking about. So CEOs of companies, and this is a common problem which I observe in people trying to get consultations. CEOs in the companies will be in these 2 quadrants. And VP engineers will be in these 2 quadrants. And the administration assistant, which has all the photos of her family and the family next to her family and her ancestry like 7,000 years ago, because she has the pyramid there. Yeah, if you have a photo of the pyramid, I have a photo of my ancestry, that's right. These people are here.
Okay.
And they are starting from here. Why she's a process? Because she's done administration assistant, which include techniques to fax, techniques to copy, techniques to do a few things. So she understands process information, but she's primarily relationship. And she always comes to you and she wants to talk about her weekend and what she did in the weekend. And you will be working on the budget and you don't even have a time, and this silly individual will come to you and silly from your opinion, where she will just so hype about when she went to this lousy place called Banff, and she was just waste of all of our time looking at the nature, sitting doing nothing there. It doesn't have any value, and you keep asking question yourself, why she didn't have better use of her time watching a documentary or reading a book or doing something useful in her life? You are correct, and she's correct too, because the relationship people will not admire information. They hate it. They want to feel good. They do stuff what they feel good about it.
This transcends all cultures, because when I went to Germany, they're all relationship people who come to these workshops, right? So when I went to Germany, I did some relationship, but I focused a lot on the science and the process and the information, because Germans want to know, right?
Exactly.
When I went to Italy, it was all art.
Yeah.
I no PowerPoint presentation. I just spoke from the heart and got them into meditation states, and they were, somebody actually gave me their shawls. This is like, she broke through a grieving process within like 1 hour workshop. She
Wow.
started, and at the end she cried. She actually hugged me and cried. She says, since I was 9, my dad died. I hadn't been able to grieve. But I knew that that's the, Italy, amore,
Yeah,
art,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Germany is like
Exactly.
efficiency, right?
That's
So
it, yeah.
this transcends all cultures and faiths. Pretty awesome.
The only difference in all cultures and phases are, I have statistics which back up this information in North America. We don't have statistics in places outside North America. So we know in North America, 40% of us are relationship. We know the compound, which is the relationship first. We know the compound is like 69% of us are compound, where relationship will come first or second. Because you are dominant in two, and you are dominant in two neighbors. You are not dominant in two in this way. Okay? Because this is our diverging. This is our diverging.
Yeah, well, what was T?
You are interested now. You are interested now. What happened? Time. I always have. Time means urgency.
Or efficiency.
Yeah.
Urgency or efficiency. Efficiency for.
Yeah.
There are.
That's true.
Times mean urgency. Times means I will buy if it works right now. How many times you go to a place like? Did you ever order a car? Except Shamir, I know he ordered a car. Have you ever ordered a car and pay like $25,000 or $50,000, and they waited for the car for like 2 months to be delivered?
Oh, 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay, you are so patient. No, for your car, for the price.
Oh, it was in the showroom. I didn't have. I told, it was a negotiating ploy. I said, I'll wait 2 weeks. Don't worry. So they gave me everything loaded for the same base price. So I said, I'll wait. Just order a new one. They didn't want to do that. So it was just a negotiating ploy.
So for me, I don't buy cars and wait for it.
I'm R and process more.
Yeah, you are out of process.
Yeah, me too.
I'm confused actually. Which one is it, T or R that I share? Because I'm great in the relationship. I have tons of friends, all different. Different type of mindsets. But at the same time, I'm the guy that time and urgency is always like that in my mind.
So you talk too much. So you are T and B
Yeah, TMP, right?
because you talk too much.
Well,
Yeah.
relationship is more.
Sorry to say that.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
you may have that. I mean, people with TNP also have very strong relationships with people. It's just that when you're naturally communicating with people, you're starting out from here, not from here.
Okay. So let's talk about the second layer. Let's talk about the second layer. And for you guys, if you had this information, and you are bored, I can stop.
No, it's a good review. I've
Okay.
been out.
See,
of it
when I
too
think
long.
of taxes, if I really want to appeal to the women, I would say, what don't you like about taxes? And the hot buttons for the relationship stuff is, I want to have more time with my kids. I want to be stress free. This is stressing the shit out of me, right? So that's the relationship thing. I want my husband to be home more. He's working far too hard in the business, right? So that's where the relationship comes in. Whereas normally I think, hey, I can do this, I can save you dollars, I can, so now I got to do that shift. So if I've got the husband and wife there, now I got to talk 2 different languages to make sure that I appeal to her senses and his senses. Because he's probably somewhere around time and dollars and time and process, right? Whereas she's more process and relationship, higher on a relationship.
So what I know, that each one of us has the 4 components.
Okay.
but not dominant. We have only two dominant at a time. And what I know, and I advocate for it, is based on your emotion level, from negative to positive, you will have a different sequence. So negative means you are stressed. Stressed means what? Behind on delivery times. So what you do when you be behind delivery dates and times? Will you go to a nice dinner with your wife?
No. Excuse me.
Thank you very much.
You be
Thank you.
dollar in time, basically.
Thank you
That's
much.
what I go.
So I have been pressured and behind times, and I did every single thing with my wife and my son and my in-laws, and then when I fulfill all this relationship around me, they came and gave me nice time for me to finish what I could finish, and I was able to achieve it in like a couple of hours instead of frustrating everybody around me for 6 hours. Because I know what they admire. So this is one thing. So once you are pressured, usually you look at the time, and usually you are very loose in the budget, or you are very care of the value. So when somebody going through divorce, she cares about how much money she will grab. That's it. She doesn't care about the kids' well-being. The dad will spend time with the kids. This is like shit for her. And when she is a honeymoon, she will always call you and bug you. Why you don't spend more time with the kids? Give me a break. Can you see me with the kids right now after divorce? No. Oh, so before divorce, why should you always, like, they will always blame you in two ways. One, here, they blame you because you don't spend enough time with the kids. And they blame you here because you want to see the kids and they don't allow you to see it. Is this true in your life? Not in your personal life, but in the life, of your people around you going through this journey of divorce and separation when they have young kids. Is this true? Is this a complaint we hear from our friends? So when you be negative, there are priorities. When we be positive, there are other priorities which may play. How many times we go to an office and say, today I have enough time to follow the process till the letter. I will not skip any step today. I will write my sequence. How many times do that? So what I know and what I'm putting to this model is the emotional state has a play on which one are the dominant. So when I have dialogue with somebody stressed and she's a relationship, you can talk about the impact of her relationship to her body. You don't talk about the process of removing that stress because she will be off. So this is what we talk about, and this is why when Shamir is saying, like, when I went to Italy, I spoke on no PowerPoint presentations, no. He's a very analytical guy, by the way, and he gave me lots of hard time in trying to understand process which does not exist, because things can happen without knowing why it happened. Like, you can do this together, and you don't need to know why the website is working, okay? But he is just an analytical guy who wants to know everything, how it works, okay? So this is the type of science which will make it simple for people. So you can have also here the neutral status. The neutral status is when you sit in front of the TV, watch the movie you watch, nothing to care about. The hot tea is actually coming cold, it doesn't matter. You have the water heater and then the boiler just shut down and you even forget about it, you don't care. You have no needs, you have no requirement. You just want time to pass by and you want to enjoy yourself. This status is different. And you have different triggers based on who you are. Make sense?
Yes. So stress is very.
So if you want to sell to somebody in a workshop, you may want to get them into this status here to drive them tired so they can better comply with your wishes and join your program, because they are sick of you. They want to just go away. So they want to just pay you the money to go away. This is how we can use this science. How to apply this science to communicate. So if I communicate your business, the communication has to be different based on who you are in front of. Shamir, what do you want to say?
No.
No, I feel you want to say something.
No.
No, I feel you want to say
You want
something.
to feel this? No, right? This is all. Absorbing.
Okay? So this does not mean how people hear or listen. There are conduit for communication, but this is the triggers. How we can use these triggers, like how we can apply them? We will translate them into language. So the trigger, how you communicate to people, using language, using appearance. That's right.
Appearance, body language.
Body language. Okay. So if I'm dealing with relationship people, I have to come not humble, because the relationship people will always admire. Yeah, like you cannot come humble. You cannot come like. You need to have consistent presentations. You need to have consistent look. You cannot come in filthy, because they will not appreciate that. Okay? People who care about time, they don't care about somebody looking filthy. You understand what I mean? So when you go to relationship people, you have to shave, you have to look like, you don't have to shave, but you have to look approachable as a human, as a relationship.
Like
They have to like it. They have to like you. But if you have people caring about the time, they will like you if you come without washing your face, because they are, all of them, they are very critical about their time. So if you go to an office and see the office all filled with unorganized paper, this basically are time-oriented people, because I want to have a quick access to everything. Okay, if you have a relationship, they like the office to be tidy. That's why majority of the time I force myself out of my comfort zone to have my office here clean. Today is not clean because I was working between different workshops. But usually I like to have clean desks as much as I can, and I hide all the junk. I hide all my material in the bottom. Okay, and I sit there so to cover it. Okay, so you ask yourself your question: how often you go to an office and find it so clean, so organized? Okay, so this time people are diverging from relationship. They don't talk the same language. So if you walk to somebody or a consultant or a place and you see bags of information, you know these people are caring about the time. And because we are here in an engineering design office, you see they stack all of this material. That's right. And when we come here, they have dust on it. And few times they have customers here and they have this catalogs over and they were discussing few things. So why they don't have it in closed shelves? Why they don't hide them here? Because they need to have immediate access to it. They don't care about how it looks. Sometimes, last week I had Greg Martin. You know Greg, he was in the workshop. And I know Greg Martin for some time. He came in here for, he just was overseas for 2 years and I didn't see him for the last 3 years or so.
what was his business?
He didn't know what he's doing, and he was basically coming back from Uzbekistan and he's trying to figure out what he's doing. He's been around for 7 months, but he didn't contact me. So when he walks the stairs, the cleaners from here have 3 or 4 black garbage bags and they put them here on front of the. So because the change of management, we have a restriction on how to use the pens. So one of the engineers here will take this bag somewhere else. So when he walk in, Greg is a relationship guy over value. He's in this area. So he came and he told me, I want to give you I want to be honest with you and I give you just an opinion. And I know you are open to accept my feedback. It's not a criticism. It looks so bad when I climb the stairs and I see the 4 or 3 garbage black bags. Because it's a relationship. For him, it means something different. For us, yeah, the office now is cleaned and somebody will take it later and you don't care. If you walk in this office, they have nice clocks on the wall. Very nice ones. No single one of them working. No single one. And I asked the question. All of them needs battery.
You don't have time to change?
No.
Is that one?
No. It looks like like the one in front of the stairs here. I always ask like, can you guys change the battery? And after I get sick of it, I go and bring my own battery. And the one in the back is the same. It's just they have it there and they don't, because they are not and their customers are not in relations, they don't care. Okay? Similarly, here is the same conversion, it's the same diversion. People who appreciate process, they don't appreciate credibility and trust of guts. COs are in this area. And this are my two main ones. Not this one. So it took myself lots of pushing to talk about process. It takes myself lots of pushing to talk about relationship. But guess what? When I'm in a relationship events, people will not understand that I'm here, because I know how to play. So how we use this? We use this with language and look and feel. So what kind of language you should use? Dialogues around this. So when you see somebody coming and has a Porsche car keys and he puts it on the table, and he have this Givenchy and Da Vinci and all Vinci's kind of clothes, and the Purcell. Remember the Purcell? Do you remember the Purcell sunglasses? Purcell. This is a British way, and that was like big sunglasses, you know. When you see these people coming with this kind of look, they are here, and they are most likely in a relationship. So they appreciate credibility. So all the discussion with them should be about who you are, what did you do in your life, how many degrees did you have, what achievement did you do in your life, all what make you credible, not what you do. Because they don't care. They care only about, that's why they show up with all of this fancy Gucci, Da Vinci, and Da Vinci, because this is Givenchy and Da Vinci, that's right?
Yeah.
There's like at least three design.
Givenchy, Da Vinci, yeah.
Yeah, there's at least three design houses which have Vinci at the end from Italy. Okay. This Giovanni as well. So the point I want to say is, if you understand this, you understand now the triggers and the trigger for them to be engaged. Any questions?
By going through this, that shows that you are telling to the potential customer that you understand them, you get them, okay? You know what is their trigger point.
You don't share this with your customers. You never share this with your customers, by the way.
No.
You can hold a dialogue.
This is the way to get into them.
Yes, this is the way
right?
to get into
This
them.
is the way to get into them.
Yep.
Which way you select based on this category that you find out
Yep.
in 90 seconds that you said. But the point is, now you have to get to the point that they have issue.
It's a different story. I will explain it,
Yeah.
but this is the trigger. Now, how to communicate with the customers? This is what Mike was trying to explain quickly. That there is dominant dividers, and the dominant dividers are conduit how to communicate. So Shamir said, you have the brain. You listen by your brain, and you see by your brain, because our customers can listen, can see. They are different. They are audible, and they are visual, and there are some kinesthetic, and there are some digital visual. Anybody sitting on his computers during the event, working on the computer and following up on the presentation, he's up here. He does not see the whole. He does not need to see the whole show to understand it.
Where does the DD stand for again?
Digital visual. This is dominant dividers. So people listen with their brain, people listen with their heart, and people listen with their feet. And there are some listen with their guts. And these are 7% of the people of the Earth's population, and I wish you can meet them, because these are the people who will buy from you. These are people who will like you or don't like you, that's it. Who will like to buy from you or don't like to buy from you without even talking to you. So how often you have somebody made a commitment to accept you and buy your service or buy your company or buy your love without even having a discussion with you? Very rare. But they do exist. And I had situations when a couple of guys walk in here, I said, we would like to sign up for your program. I said, I don't know you. Who are you? Like, who are you? Like, how you come, you want to sign up for something you don't know? And we go to events and we see some of the audience will say, I am here because I want to buy what he will offer. That's right. Like, there are people who will walk in the events and be committed to buy whatever will be offered without even knowing exactly what is the offer. So this is we don't care about these people, because if they show up in our life, we cannot say they will show up, but we don't care about them. So
go through the DV, SV, and all that.
I will explain it. So people listen with their brain. What do you mean you listen with your brain? You look at the logic of the story, the logic of the dialogue, your logic of the conversation. You think about it.
So are they also process oriented?
This is the process oriented are here. And we have always two of these. And very hard to find brain and heart together. So people are dominant, are either brain or heart and feet. These are the two different approaches. Okay? So when somebody listening with their brain, what do you think? So if I ask you, can I ask you a question and you answer in no seconds? How do you feel about being here?
Happy.
You thought about it.
Follow me?
Your eyes start to move around because you don't understand the question. But if I ask you what do you think about here, or what do you think about being here, you will answer faster. Because you are brain. You think about stuff. The minute I ask you how do you feel about being here, or how do you feel about this content, your eyes start to go around because you are confused. The question doesn't make sense. And then you try to figure any word. Happy, but you're not smiling. I'm not. It's nothing against you, but just give you a quick example.
Yeah.
If I want to ask people questions, I have to know what's their dominant here. So the domination is very important, because process people will buy if there is a process oriented. Heart people will buy if they feel good about it. Brain people will buy if it makes sense, make logic to them. So one of the biggest challenge for Mariana and Shamir when they stand on the stage is they have these three people in front of them. Mike is different this time. Mike, majority of his customers will be two together, husband and wife. So he will quickly figure out which one has the feeling and which one has the logic. And then what he was explaining to you, he will talk in a different languages. Does it make sense? So so this is the language which you use here will be like, how, does it make sense? Do you see the logic behind it? What do you think about it? The message here will be, how do you feel about it? Do you like it? Not does it make sense to you? Because they have no sense. They have sense, but it comes later. Each one of us has the four. Each one is dominant in two, and lagging in the other two. When people are happy, they don't have a brain. They will be close to bankruptcy, and what they do? They go spend money like crazy on big parties because they are happy. So the emotional status also has a play. You are negative or positive. So when you sit in front of accountant bookkeepers, they are majority of the time enjoying the process. So you need to talk about how things can be done. And if they are relationship people, you demonstrate the triggers, how it can be done, and how it can enhance the relationships they have. Make sense?
Try to.
So why this time? What makes it hard?
Because I try to find this example in my mind.
The same example.
Yeah.
What do you think about being here? What do you feel about being here? And what do you do for being here? What do you think about this lecture or this seminar or this workshop? How do you feel about this workshop? What do you do with this workshop? These are one question, not three. But this is one question
For 3 different types.
for 3 different types of people. So for you, you had the exercise. Like when I ask you how do you feel about this knowledge, your eyes start to go and you start to get you got shocked from the question in the subconscious mind, because you are not used to start with your feelings. You were expecting a logical question.
That's true.
Okay?
Yeah.
So we always here, because this is a safe environment, we always feel this. I always try to show it in this way, because when you stand in front of groups, you have to talk about this language. You have to talk about the thinking, the feeling. Like, if you listen to them, you can ask them a simple question. What did you do last summer? What did you do last weekend? If you ask somebody what did you do last summer, and all what she will talk about or he will talk about is they went with the kids and how the place was fabulous and how things, and then you ask them, where did you go? They tell you, New Zealand. How long did you go? 4 days? Doesn't make sense, my friend. I would not travel for 6 days travel to spend 4 days. It's an extreme example, but and if somebody will come and say, oh, it was so tiring, we did so many things, they are feet right off. So you can ask very simple questions. You can ask, what did you do in life? People will tell you, or give anybody, oh, you see this tree? I love it. Outside there. What about you? Somebody say, oh, I think it looks good. And another one will say, oh, I feel it's gorgeous. That's right.
Right.
And someone say, oh, do you see how they trim it and make it nice? They are feet. So you should be able to always look for this information to know how to speak to these people. Does it make sense?
Exactly.
So so the question will be for you guys, how do you use this information? Like, what's the application in your life? What's this information?
When you're trying to sell your product or service, to be able to touch upon each one of these so that you resonate with the wider group. Or if you're speaking one-on-one, quickly ascertain where they're at and then speak from that vantage point.
And we as engineers, we are always ignorant in these areas. We believe the whole world is engineering. By the way, in North America, we know that 22% of us are process oriented. Only 22% of us. And unfortunately, we are in downtown Calgary. All of them are what? Process engineers.
Yeah.
Process engineers. Like they're not process oriented. They are engineering process. And you'll be surprised that so many speakers and so many actors and so many singers start their life as engineers for a few years and then do something completely different, because they could not find themselves in the logical world. They want to be more on the feeling world. So all the actors we have is the movie actors who are like medical doctors, and they just practice for 1 year and then become an actor and actress. How? This is what describe it. Nothing wrong with them. Their personality does not fit with this particular discipline. Okay? So this is what type of conduit people will receive information. So you have to look at it from this perspective. You have a pipe. The pipe is how people will receive the information. That's right. And inside this pipe, there are some triggers. Sorry, the switches, Mike, I forgot. These are switches, okay? For mechanical engineers, these are gates, And for electrical engineers, this is our switches, okay? And for electronics, we can talk about diodes. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I love your laugh. Just remember this image. Remember this image. There are 4 triggers we talked about to get through here. So these are the triggers. And this is the conduit. The question is how or what are you sending inside here? We learn from the NLP, and Mariana's one of the masters of NLP, and many people studied NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, that people are visual, means they like to see things.
Yes. S.
No, the S is seeing, sorry.
What?
Seeing and listening, so seeing or visual. It's supposed to be visual.
Audio, visual, digital, visual, and kinesthetic.
Yes, so people would like to visualize stuff. And there are people who are audible. They like to hear. They don't like to see. So when you sit in a room and you have individuals who are putting their ear toward you, not their eyes, or people are closing their eyes,
You're right.
they are not sleepy. They are not sleepy. They appreciate getting information with their ears first. So you as a speaker from the stage or a presenter, sorry?
He said I'm really sleeping.
The point, how to use this information is when you stand on the stage and you have a nice diagram in front of you, you have to explain the diagram in a way makes sense to these audible people. Because these people are listening with their ears, are seeing the whole their interaction with the whole world appreciated by the ear. They feel sick and tired if they want to see stuff. They always have less attention to the details. Their biased attention is toward audible tones and audible language. They will get frustrated when you start loud. That's why they never listen to Metallica songs. You know Metallica songs, and they never listen to it. Visuals and digital visual, they appreciate the loud voice. And the kinesthetic, which is people don't like to do anything. That's
What's
right. Kinesthetic, they don't like to do anything. They don't like to move.
They do like to move.
So what? Why is that? Why we call them kinesthetic?
Because they're feelers.
They're feelers.
Yeah.
So they want.
But they are the ones that need to move around, in like kids in the classroom. They need to get up and or stand for a while at the back of the room.
So when somebody leaves the front VIP table and goes stand in the room in the back, it says lots of things on how to reach them. These people, if you want to bring them in, you have to start any talk with a low voice, higher voice, and louder voice. Any successful music, and Mike told you he has the music. Any music, what will happen? How to start? Any song, how to start? Very soft, very slow. That's right. And then it will build up, and then the drummers come in the end. That's right. Why? Because they want to bring these feelers. They want to bring the kinesthetic people. Metallica and this kind of metal songs are the opposite. They start at a higher bass. Not the feelers don't like it. Period. And this is the science behind it. So if I want to get feelers here, which the same language, people receive with their feeling, people receive with their ears, people receive with their eyes. So when you stand, you have to mix this. You have to mix this in your presentation or in your talk. Otherwise, these people are not engaged. So I had an exercise the other day, and because I'm a digital visual, I'm a visual guy, I always speak with my hand, because I always try to draw a picture. If I even give an explanation to somebody, I always have this paper just drawn on it. That's right.
Exactly.
So I had, we were in an event on Saturday night, and one of this, an awesome personality, an awesome lady was standing there. And when I start to talk with, like I was talking to her and doing my hand like this, like very nice gestures, I started to see like her eyes are just moving around my eye, like her head was following my hands. So I put my hand in my pockets and I started to talk more to her ear. And she was very nicely following. Because she is not visual. She doesn't accept the gestures. She wants to listen. Okay? So if you understand this communication conduit, you will be very effective in providing information. And then you want them to join your program, you can. You don't want them to join your program, it's up to you. How do we know these people? There are so many ways, and one of them is if you ask them question as well, like open-ended question, they tell you, yeah, I see is good. Like, can you give me an opinion about the topic? Say, yeah, I see he's good. Will you do this? Oh, I hear you. I hear you means she's audible. Many of the problems I do have when people are audible. So to overcome the problems, when they are really mad, I say, you know what? I heard you. I hear you. I understand where you are coming from. However, you did not. I cannot say you did not listen to me, because if I said you did not listen to me, I'm challenging her conduit. So I say you did not see my point. So when people say, oh, you did not see that. You did not see my point. Where I say it, you are only talking, my friend, and talking is audible. I didn't see anything, because it's visual and talking. Oh, do you see that? And the teacher will say, how many of you see this, guys? There are people who hear it, they don't see it. The digital visual is a new category of people, and these are the people who will have very short span, capture lots of information, and then you have to be quiet. So, like if you remember Alexander, he was working on his computer.
Yeah.
Alexander was here yesterday, and he's actually repeating for me verbatim specific sections of the workshop, verbatim. Like I was like shocked. He was not working. He was basically visualizing everything, and it was overwhelming for him to sit like this and watch the whole show. He will feel tired. He will feel sick.
Also, that was his age. I mean,
It's not his age.
Is that his age?
It's not his age. Because I'm double his age and I'm like him. That's not the age. It's how we receive the information. So it's not the age. The age is a factor. I may agree with you. The computer stuff you do is a factor. But this is say that in your presentation, how to apply this in your presentation, that you must summarize, like if the presentation is like this over time, if this is the time, and the presentation started here at 0 and you have like 60 minutes or so, you have to summarize the presentation every often. It has to be clips playing. Clips, like you know what I mean, a clip? A full clip, like one clip, one clip, one clip, one clip, one clip, one clip. Each one shall start with what you explain, why, how to use it, or how to apply it, and review. After you give your topic here, you review and you conclude. Every slide, or every 2 slides, or every section, every 10 minutes, 15 minutes. For feelers, you should be able to produce activities. And they call it in different language, patterns of interrupts. So patterns of interrupt, they say like you do that something different. That's right. You make them move, you make them do stuff. Does this make sense? Yeah. Anyone who wants to add anything to it? So standing on stage or presenting in a meeting, people are only lucky because everybody around them process, they can understand what they are saying. But this is not the common approach when you sell like one of these commonly used products. Yes, ma'am.
But what I how review and was for the for which
Like
group?
every presentation should have segmented into sections. That's right. Every section should start with what are you explaining, why it's important, how people will apply it, and then we have to conclude. And this is what I do, and I take your participation to conclude. And sometimes I go back and say like, so this was that, and this is how we have a natural transition. This image or this graph was a transition. So what you put inside the pipe here, it has to be audio or visual or feeling. And if you know the three, it means that your presentation has to feel good. So you don't use ugly colors. If you are in front of the of a different group, you use the rainbows for them. If you are in front of process group, you use blue. If you are in front of farmers, you use green, dominant, because they have to feel good about it. You have to speak about every single image. You don't say, oh yeah, and the flow chart is here, guys. 20% of the room are audible. They didn't hear. They didn't see it. They cannot see with their ears. They have to hear it.
The bottom is review, and what's the last one?
Review and conclusion.
Conclusion.
What? No, no.
Pardon me?
What? What are you thinking?
I'm just processing. And as I told you, for everything that you say, I try to find an example in my mind and try to see how it does match and how it works. And the one that had done good, they do the same. They went through the same process. That's what I do.
Yes, so this is what the science says. This is what the science says. So the question usually is how people feel good about things. So can I flip this one?
Sure.
Okay. So I looked around and I found out they call them 4 pillars of persuasions, or I call them 7 pillars of mindless compliance. And I said, somebody said somebody with an accent from not North America and talk about mindless compliance, it means something different. It's not obedience. It's people to comply, people to accept you. So the compliance example is, if you stand in a line for making or if you stand in a line for like Costco and you have like 2 to 5 items, and you know Costco lines and Max's store and
There's no express line.
there is no express lines, that's right. So if you have like one cake or 1 or 2 things, I usually go to the very front of the line and say, would you guys mind that I can cut in the line because I'm going to this party and I don't want to be late for my wife. 100% of the time they allow me. 100%. Everybody will allow me. And in exchange now, when I see somebody hanging there with 1 or 2 pieces, I say, man, you can come in front of me. I have to, like, I'm doing it as a service. So they found out, they did a study back 1960, and they found out that if people want to cut in lines for Xerox machine, and the Xerox machine at the time was very rare, not common as today, with 5 copies, if somebody comes and say, would you mind if I stand in the line in front of you to make 5 copies because I'm in a hurry, 94% of the time they allow them to go. And when somebody come and say, would you allow me to make 5 copies, 60% of the time they will allow them, because they did not use the word because. And when they found out that somebody will come and say, can I make 5 copies, or can I cut in the line to make 5 copies because I want to make 5 copies, 93% will allow them to go through. So the word because is one of the most persuading words in English language. You and because are the most true. And this is a very simple study. So there are science behind how to persuade people and how to get them. So one of them is called consistent. And inconsistent, one of the biggest challenge I had in the weekends is there are some weekends there is no time frame. Like coffee breaks are not the same time. There is no plan. Nobody shared with us a plan. Did anybody share the plan with you on geology? Like when it will start, when it will end?
There was a plan like 9-9.
This is the only plan.
96.
9-9 or 9.
No details and no agenda on that.
No agenda and no details.
Yeah.
So agenda comes with consistency. And following the agenda is one of the biggest consistency you have. As much as you can. Consistency also means what? You always have the same look, the same style, the same presentation, the same everything. One of the other pillars called commitment. And commitment means people has to commit. So the study was made on medical clinics, and they found out that when people write down their next appointment, so 18% will show up better next time because they write down their appointment. The nurse will not write it for them and hand them the card. So people have to commit. How we can pick up commitment in the room? By asking the same question I ask. Do you like this material? Can you use it? Do you find use for it? Can you relate to that? Sometimes people will say yes or yes, like the fellow was saying yes or yes. Iman was saying yes or yes. Do you guys agree? Yes or yes? People say yes. Somebody look from the outside, say, oh, this is very silly, stupid. Like, what do you mean? Answer was the question yes or yes. Some of the science shows that when you have this commitment, you will have better engaged audience. People will raise their hand. Give the one beside you high five and tell them this is great. Like you are saying an example or saying a piece of information here and sharing it, and then you tell, okay, guys, can you give high five to the one next to you and say, this is awesome, this is great. What they are doing? They are getting their commitment from their subconscious mind. One of the pillars called authority. And I'll share with you a very interesting story of last week. I was working with somebody last week and she told me, no, I am so shy, I cannot share this about me. Okay, if you are so shy you cannot share this about you, don't play in this game. Because if you have authority in what you do, people will listen to you. People will accept you. So sometimes you just talk about what makes you to do what you do. What kind of degrees you have, what kind of education you have, what kind of love did you have, what kind of whatever. Based on the topic, what make you authority here. Sometimes people will come and say, oh, you know what, and I went to this flower reading like 15 years ago. So everybody here will believe she's an authority because she just attended, okay? And then so can you tell us more? How many times you guys were going to a vacation or some place or doing something and somebody said, I did it before. And you start saying, okay, can you tell us more? Can you give us more details? It's always happening in cooking. If you want to cook a brand new dish, and you say, okay guys, I want to do this dish. And somebody, yeah, I ate it last week. I ate it, not I cook it. People will come and say, okay, and how did you like it? And how did it taste? She just ate it, okay? She did not cook it. But logically, this is what you mean with authority. Does it make sense? So when you have an authority standing in the room, people have. Now we have a question which should always come. So if you run for an insurance company, should you have your insurance company logos on it? The answer is no. If you work for a company, do you have to have the company? No. If you are in a sales call, you shouldn't. Because this will get people to frame you into not what you do, what benefit can you get from you in what you do. So people will avoid you. That's why professional speakers and professional people will always look as homogeneous. There is no identification. We don't walk around and say we are heart mass or we are life coaches on our head. We don't. We look no identification. Okay. Even they go to the extent when you talk about like should they go and have like Canada shirt? They say no because many people may not like Canadian. Many people may have perception of Canadian. So when you start when have a Canada or you say I'm Canadian or you have a different. And we have the same perception because, and we'll have a better perception in second week of October because if somebody will come and have like a marijuana leaf on his jacket or his shirt, what's your immediate reaction to that?
He's a poor guy.
Is what?
He's a poor guy. He likes that. That's.
He's hippie. He's a druggie.
He likes.
Yeah,
He's not grounded.
It's not grounded. So will you listen to somebody like this for life coaching?
I mean, they attract certain type of people.
They attract certain type of people.
Exactly.
So if you understand that you are attracting certain type of people with this, it's a different story. But when we talked early on here, when you are here, you don't know who can come from here. So when I appear in front of my audience in this look, I will be limited only to the customers who are buying because of that. And now I will compete on
Less people.
on price. I don't want to compete on price and cost. I want to compete on value. Because if I compete on price, I would always have to give you discount. I always have to sell you lower than the other guys. Okay? One other pillar, which will be, we call it appreciation or likeness. So people like new things. People like the event. People appreciate what they are, what they have. So you always have to get their appreciation and likeness. Another one, we called it social proof. And social proof will come under what? What will drive social proof?
Testimonials.
Testimonials. What else could provide social proof? Like I had a moment of an amazing social proof from the Infusionsoft guy because he said, these are the people are using it in Calgary, and he put my website and I was shocked.
Did he?
Oh yeah, I wished he will go back and I can film this part because he talks about 3 or 4 people in Calgary using his tool, and then he had my whole website. I was shocked.
How did you bring it up? He just randomly pulled it up, or did
No,
you?
he knew who was coming and he went to their websites.
Oh.
And he brought in the wildbadawi.com, not badawi.ca, because badawi.ca since 1989 I use, and the wildbadawi.com just I got like 2-3 years ago.
Oh.
But it has so many colors. It has when I was talking on G20, and it has like very interesting authority there. So he grabbed this snapshot because it meets his profile. So social proof can come from other people in the room know you are good. Social proof can come from followers over the like we have, I believe we have more than 10,000 like on our Facebook page. You can have like how many people will like, how many people will participate, how many people will, and you should be able to communicate that. So if you have like 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 followers, you should have in your presentation somewhere that so many people are following me. So imagine you don't know what this guy is doing, and always they tell you, oh, they have so many followers. And this is actually true. This girl in Calgary, she is doing YouTube, how to make money out of advertisement on YouTube. All of her authority is she has one channel has more than 100,000 followers. That's it, subscribers. That's it.
100,000 on YouTube?
Yeah, subscriber.
You
on
can't even
YouTube.
monetize it unless you've got 1 million.
Nope, you can start. But she was just so shocked. I met her in CAPS, in Canadian Association of Professional Speaker.
Is that Christine?
No, Sugarson?
No, she's from South America. I remember her name. But this is all what her authority.
South America.
Yeah, she's from somewhere South America.
That's Shemai.
No, Shemai, no. No, I met her like 3 years ago or 2 years ago, and all what she's do, what her workshops around is how to make money out of YouTube. And she had like 100,000 subscribers or so. So when you wanna get people to comply with whatever you want them to do, you have to understand that this is important. How you bring this in discussions? You can talk about your customers. You can talk about your friends. You can talk about people you were helping before and how wonderful words they said about you. So in a social discussion, you can bring this. Make sense?
That's the place for it.
Okay. The other one is called urgency or scarcity. And I like scarcity than urgency. You have to provide people with a fear of they are losing the opportunity to create urgency over scarcity. I like scarcity because the scarcity means what? You may lose an opportunity. So if it's limited time offer, we will just set up the whole schedule to tomorrow. If you don't sign up to the trip, we will just book the bus tomorrow, so we will not have spots. Scarcity, it's a key for people to buy. How you do scarcity on a Facebook? By having counters. So if you have these counters, we say like limited time offer, and you have like 10 minutes to sign up or 15 minutes to sign up. Eventbrite and the different booking systems, they found out if they don't have these timers, people usually will forget about signing up and they don't press submit. They talk about 38% higher conversion rate. 30% of people will go to the website, fill everything, will not click submit. And when they have this 15 minutes or 10 minutes to complete the whole registration, what will happen? People will click submit. So this is supposed to be a checklist. Like you're supposed to have a checklist inside your presentation, your talk, any of your material, and say, I have a checklist. So does this fit the criteria? And this document. And if it fits the criteria, you can distill it. Distill it means make it better. Then you have to communicate it. Show it to your friends and small groups. That's why we here as a small group review the work of each other. And this will validate once you send it out. So everything you do, you have to have these 4 steps with it. Now there's one more missing. I have to remember it now. So there is one pillar missing here. Shamir, do you remember which one?
What is the first one?
It's consistent.
No, the over there. Yeah.
Document.
Document.
Distill. Communicate. And validate. What was the 7th one?
What was the last one?
Validate.
Validate.
Validate. There's 1 7, I cannot remember. Sorry.
Document is still
This is the 4 cycles.
connected.
Communicate.
Communicate.
What was the 7th, guys?
7.
Yeah, the 7 pillars. We have 6 only.
Social appreciation, authority, scarcity, commitment.
What could it be?
goes in the end there after authority.
Yeah, I remember it goes after authority. Can you guess it?
Oh, yeah, here we go. Reciprocity. Reciprocity, scarcity, social
So,
proof.
reciprocity is the top one.
Where does it go there?
There's appreciation, commitment, authority, consistency, reciprocity, scarcity,
So what's the reciprocity means?
give and get.
What does it mean? Give and get. What does it mean, give and get?
That's where you give tips for free. Give them something of value that they will automatically say, wow, this guy, if this is the value I'm getting for free, imagine what I would get when I pay for it.
You can also give them books. You can give them flowers. You can give them box of chocolates.
You know, send me
In the
more,
social life,
send me more.
you can give them anything to make it like when we go to events, we will stop by some place and buy like a $5 box of whatever, and you'll go put this gift on the table. Everybody will come talk to me. Everyone. They say thank you, and some people will come and say, yeah, you know what? I really appreciate it. I cannot eat it. I don't eat gluten and dairy, and I'm not sure, but I really appreciate it. I took 2 for my daughters. Okay. So these are not suggestions. These are mandatory checklists you should have to increase the compliance. And compliance means what? Following your wishes.
You said mindless compliance.
The mindless is the first word. So now, will you ever forget reciprocity?
No.
Because you guys have to figure it out. Like if I was just say the 7 ones, you will not have the exercise of wondering what's the other one. This is what we always lack. We always feel if we will give you the information, you will run with it. Believe me, if you explain to anybody else information, they will not run with it. Because they will forget within 2 days. Like he has it in his notes, so why he did not remember? He forgot it. I had the same discussion yesterday. If you don't give whatever you can, nobody will do anything with it.
Actually, there's the science behind that, because when you give somebody a new piece of information, if they make a connection, there's a dopamine hit on the brain. It's like gambling. You want more. So, and you associate that dopamine hit with the stimulus that caused that. And so what happens if you give somebody something of value, they get this connection, they get an aha moment, they will say, because of that person, I'm getting this feeling of elation. Now I want more from that person. It's a very powerful thing to have the reciprocity.
Okay. Can you visualize how you will use this in your life? So if you don't use this in your life, figure out a way. This is basically a checklist. If you want to review any effectiveness of anything you do, look, did you have these pillars have been met? And we want to talk now on the marshmallow experiment.
Marshmallow experiment?
Have you heard about it?
No.
Okay.
What is what experiment?
Marshmallow experiment. So 50 years before the second phase of the experiment, some scientists brought few kids in a closed room. The kids has nothing in the table other than a marshmallow. And the kids were told, you can eat this marshmallow now or wait a little bit so you can have 2 more marshmallows to eat. And then some of the kids ate the marshmallow, some of them waited. And then he stalked them. He was stalking these kids for 50 years. He found out that people who were very successful are the one who waited. They did not take the marshmallow. They did not take the first marshmallow. They waited for the biggest hour. And people who are hungry will just take the first marshmallow. They will not make it. And that's why if you want to feed the hunger and people cannot wait, they cannot be successful. I was just reading this book in the weekend. It was very amazing what kind of science people can do and then how to generalize it to other people. Any more questions? So let's just have a break. And when we come back, we can illustrate a presentation, and we can talk about the sequence, and then we can talk about how we can use this kind of science inside a 20-minute to 90-minute presentation.
Right.
Make sense? Okay.
Copyright 2017 Win Your Brand. All rights reserved. This video is subject to copyright owned by Win Your Brand. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this video is expressly prohibited, unless Win Your Brand has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.